As you guys know, UFC 317, Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria is right around the corner, and this pay-per-view will be taking place in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on June 28th. And for this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions and breaking down every single fight that will be happening on this card. But before we get to my breakdown, I just want to say sorry I was not able to get a video out for UFC Fight Night Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. My microphone broke unexpectedly, so I had to order a whole new microphone, and I'm recording this video with that microphone currently. Let me know in the comments if this microphone sounds better than my last mic I was using. I would definitely like to know you guys' feedback when I change my equipment. Now that that's out the way, let's get into my breakdown for UFC 317, Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria. Opening up the card, we have Janata Denins versus Alvin Hines. And for this fight, I'm going to be picking Janata Denins to win by a knockout. This fight was originally going to be Janata Denins versus Justin Tafa, and it was going to be a bout on the main card. Unfortunately for Justin Tafa, and fortunately for the fans, this fight was converted into Janata Denins versus Alvin Hines. Justin Tafa, he had to pull out, and an undefeated heavyweight named Alvin Hines will be taking this place, so this fight will be on the preliminary card. I think that my prediction for this fight is going to be very straightforward. Alvin Hines, he's coming from the LFA. He has no UFC experience, and this is a bout that is going to be on 2 weeks short notice. So I think this is going to be a easy first round KO for Janata Denins. He's decent on the feet, at least for UFC heavyweight standards, and he has knockout power in his hands. He's knocked out plenty of opponents in the UFC. So he's getting a really big step down in competition fighting someone like Alvin Hines. Next fight in the card, we have Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. And for this fight, I'm going to be picking Jacoby Smith to win by a knockout. Jacoby Smith, he has really explosive striking, and let's not forget he's undefeated. He's 28 years old, and he has 8 wins by knockout and 2 wins by decision. So he's been knocking out his opponents for the majority of his whole career. And when you contrast that to Nico Price, he's shown vulnerabilities in his recent fights. He has a decision loss to Themba Gorimbo. I think that loss has aged really bad, especially when Vicente Luque submitted and knocked out Themba Gorimbo in the first round. So I think that Jacoby Smith, he is definitely gonna get a first round or second round knockout in this fight, just purely based on the momentum that he has in his entire career. Now moving up the card, we have Hyder Emil versus Jose Delgado. And I believe this bout will be taking place in the featherweight division. And I'm going to be picking Hyder Emil to win by a decision. Hyder Emil, he has relentless pressure in his striking. He has great striking volume, and he has a very aggressive style that can overwhelm his opponent. He TKO'd Jiang Yang Li with a barrage of punches. I think that it was a 20 punch combination of unanswered punches. That just shows how aggressive and how when the momentum swings his way in the fight, he just takes over and just wins that type of matchup. So I think that he is definitely able to defeat someone like Jose Delgado. Like I said, he has a really good ability to maintain a high pace in his fights, and he can adapt under pressure as well. So that's really my main justification for picking Hyder Emil to beat Jose Delgado by a decision. Moving up the card to the lightweight division, we have Terrence McKinney versus Vyacheslav Borshev. And I'm going with Terrence McKinney to win by a knockout. Terrence McKinney, he is a very fast starter in his fights. He's explosive and he has a lot of power in his hands. I can see him overwhelming Vyacheslav Borshev with a offensive barrage in the first round and putting him away. However, Terrence McKinney's defense is a very big problem for him, so I won't be surprised if he gets finished in the first round as well. But I'm banking on that wild factor of Terrence McKinney to just cause Vyacheslav Borshev to just cover up on the fence, and for Terrence McKinney to get a nice first round TKO victory in this bout. Next up in the bantamweight division, we have Peyton Talbot versus Felipe de Lima. and this is a very hard matchup for Peyton Talbot. I honestly believe that Felipe Lima is a harder opponent than Ronnie Barcelos because Felipe Lima is actually like in his prime. Ronnie Barcelos, he's a veteran of the bantamweight division. He's obviously coming out of his prime. He's slowing down. But Felipe Lima, he is smack dab in the middle of his prime. And the UFC, they matched him up against Peyton Talbot. And like I said, this is going to be a very hard fight for Peyton Talbot. And I believe this fight is going to prove if he's even worthy of like being in the top 10 of the bantamweight division. I do think that Peyton Talbot, he can be ranked. He can probably like slide into that number 15 spot. But this is going to prove if Peyton Talbot made the necessary adjustments in his grappling defense, made the necessary adjustments in his get-up game to even be viable in the bantamweight division. But regardless, I am picking Peyton Talbot to win by a decision. Felipe Lima, he is a very good fighter. However, in his fights, he has a tendency to get cracked in certain moments. I believe his last fight, I believe his opponent missed weight, so I'm not going to really hold that against Felipe Lima that much. But he was doing very good in the fight, but there were just some moments that where Felipe Lima, he just got like cracked by a huge shot. And if those opportunities present themselves to Peyton Talbot, I believe that Peyton Talbot, he's either going to knock him out or Peyton Talbot is just going to secure rounds through these moments that Felipe Lima gives up. So in this matchup, Peyton Talbot, he is going to be the better striker. He has the better finishing ability. Peyton Talbot, he has a more potential to just be able to end the fight in any second. And honestly, Peyton Talbot, he does have some adaptability in his striking. Like I said before, though, we're going to have to see if his grappling defense, if his get-up game actually improved, because Felipe Lima, he can mix up his MMA game. He's from Brazil. He's obviously going to have that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in his back pocket to lean back on. So Peyton Talbot, he needs to have leveled up his grappling defense since the Ronnie Barcelos fight. So I think that Peyton Talbot's dynamic striking is going to win him the decision. However, I'm not going to be surprised if Felipe Lima squeezes out a split decision as well. But anyways, moving on to the next fight on the card, we have Viviane Araújo versus Tracy Cortez, and I'm going to be picking Tracy Cortez by a decision. Tracy Cortez, she's going to have the better cardio in this matchup, and she's going to be able to push a very heavy pace. We've seen Viviane, she like slows down in some of her fights, and we've seen Viviane Araújo, she like faded like after the first round in some of her fights. So I think that Tracy Cortez, she has a well-rounded skill set. She has good striking, good grappling, and she's going to be able to control the tempo and dictate the direction of this fight. That's my main reason for picking Tracy Cortez to win this fight by a decision. Next up in the middleweight division, we have Jack Hermansson versus Gregory Rodriguez. And this is going to be a very risky pick, but I am picking Jack Hermansson to win by a decision. Gregory Rodriguez, he is a very dangerous fighter for Jack Hermansson. He can very well finish Jack in like the first round. Gregory, he's a very powerful striker. However, Jared Cannonier showed that if you can weather that early storm, that first adrenaline dump in the first round, Gregory Rodriguez's defense will falter and his output will slow down in the later rounds. Jack Hermansson, he showed that he can weather a storm against a power puncher when he fought Joe Pyfer. I do think that Gregory Rodriguez has more in his bag compared to Joe Pyfer in the realm of striking. Like I said, this is a very risky pick. Gregory Rodriguez, he can definitely just finish Jack Hermansson in the first round. But I think someone like Jack Hermansson, he can avoid getting caught clean in the first round and win the second and third round and get that decision victory. Now, moving to the main card. Originally, the main card opener was supposed to be Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. However, they moved that to UFC 318. So I'll be releasing a separate video covering that fight probably in a few days. But next up, we have Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. And I'm going to be picking Renato Moicano by TKO. When this bout was originally scheduled, I forgot what card it was going to be for, but I think it was scheduled for UFC 311. So I was actually like going to be really confidently picking Renato Moicano to knock out Beneil Dariush. I think that he had the grappling game. He showed that against Benoit Saint-Denis that he definitely has really good ground and pound. He can end the fight by TKO. When this fight was scheduled for UFC 311, I was like definitely picking Renato Moicano to win by a TKO. I thought that he was going to run through Beneil Dariush, but now I think it's going to be way closer. I'm still picking Renato Moicano to win by a TKO, but don't sleep on Beneil Dariush. He is really good at coming back from behind in his fights, so I won't be surprised if Beneil can win a decision against Renato Moicano, but I still have those same reasons why I'm picking Renato Moicano to win by a TKO. I think that he'll be able to take down Beneil Dariush and just win by like a ground and pound TKO. Just like the Benoit Saint-Denis fight where he like absolutely smashed Benoit in that fight. I think that he can win almost in the same way. Beneil Dariush, he suffered a lot of knockout losses recently, so I think that his career is definitely in a decline. So this is obviously a huge step down in competition for Renato Moicano compared to the champ Islam Makhachev. So I think that Renato Moicano, he's going to be able to get this victory and get back in the win column and slowly build himself up the lightweight rankings. Next up, we have Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. And sadly, I am picking Brandon Royval to win by a knockout. I really want Joshua Van to win this fight, but I just believe that this is a huge step up in competition. I think that Joshua Van, I believe that he's the number 11 flyweight, and he's going up against the number 1 flyweight on like 2 weeks short notice. He's just competed in UFC 316. Brandon Royval, he's fresh. I don't know if he's been in a training camp necessarily, but he's definitely the fresher fighter. He's definitely more prepared in the sense that he's been fighting top flyweights like for the past like 5 years. So I think that Brandon Royval, he's going to knock out Joshua Van just because of that experience. And let's not forget that Brandon Royval, he's a very big flyweight for the division as well. I've always said that Joshua Van, his biggest downfall is just going to be his size, something that he can't control. He has the technique down packed. He has the takedown defense down packed. But in the top of the flyweight division, you just have these builds that are going to be a problem for someone like Joshua Van. And I think that Brandon Royval, he fits into that category. He's a rangy flyweight. He has the grappling. He has the knockout power. And I think that Brandon Royval, he's going to catch Joshua Van on the feet and put him away. I can see like a ground and pound TKO as well, just like the Renato Moicano and Beneil Dariush fight. And I can also see like a submission. I think a submission is a really underrated way that Brandon Royval can win this fight, especially since, like I said, there's definitely going to be a size advantage going towards Brandon Royval, so he can definitely take down Joshua Van and submit him on the ground. Next up for the co-main event, we have a bout for the flyweight title between Alexander Pantoja, the flyweight champion, versus Kai Kara-France. And for this fight, I am picking Alexander Pantoja to win by a submission. I just think that Pantoja, first of all, he has 11 victories by submissions. He is definitely considered a submission artist. He has some of the best jiu-jitsu in the flyweight division, and he can definitely out-grapple Kai Kara-France, no question. So I think that he might have to like stay off the feet with Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France, he has that knockout power. He knocked out Steve Erceg in his last fight. He is a very powerful striker in the flyweight division. And Alexander Pantoja, he does have a really good chin. So that is going to be something to look out for. So he can definitely stand with Kai Kara-France. I think he shouldn't. He should just play it safe with the grappling because, like I said, Pantoja, he can definitely out-grapple Kai Kara-France. And Pantoja, let's not forget, he has the championship experience. Kai Kara-France, he was never champ, so he never had to perform under these high-pressure scenarios. And I think that Pantoja, his fight IQ, his grappling, his striking, his chin, his cardio, let's not forget his cardio, that's going to be able to win him this fight. All that put together, I think that makes Pantoja the best flyweight in the world right now. He has almost everything put together in his game. So that's why I am picking Alexander Pantoja to win by a submission. Now, for the main event, we have Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, and they will be fighting for the vacant lightweight title. And I am going with Ilia Topuria to win by a knockout. I really want Charles Oliveira to win this fight. I consider myself to be a Charles Oliveira fan. I'm not a huge fan, but I definitely support Charles Oliveira's vibe, his whole brand, Do Bronx. I love that about him. But unfortunately, Ilia Topuria, I think that he is going to be the better striker in this matchup. I think the striking is going to be the downfall of Charles Oliveira in this matchup. We all know that Ilia Topuria, he knocked out Max Holloway, someone who has the best chin in the UFC. I am a huge Max Holloway fan, and it just hurt to watch Max Holloway get put out like that. But we all know that, yeah, he knocked out Max Holloway, someone who has the best chin in the UFC, and he knocked out Volkanovski as well. I think that is one of the best back-to-back wins basically in UFC history. If he knocks out Charles Oliveira as well, that could be the best 3-fight win streak in UFC history as well. But back to the actual matchup, I think that Ilia Topuria, his boxing is going to be too crisp. Everyone is really skeptical about if Ilia Topuria's power is going to transfer to lightweight. And I think it's a no-brainer. When you're throwing with the perfect technique of someone like Ilia Topuria, the power is going to translate wherever you go. Ilia Topuria, he's not just weighing these big hooks. He's not a KO merchant like a Josh Emmett or anything. Ilia Topuria, he's actually setting up these shots. His boxing is so crisp. His fundamentals are perfect. And like I said, the power is going to come if you're throwing with that perfect of a technique. And of course, Charles Oliveira, his grappling is going to be a big thing in this matchup as well. I do think that people are underrating Ilia Topuria's grappling as well. A lot of people are just coming out here and just being if Ilia Topuria doesn't knock him out, Charles Oliveira can take him down and submit him. Charles Oliveira, he has very good grappling. Don't get that wrong. But Ilia Topuria, his grappling is almost on the same level as a Charles Oliveira. They're not that far apart in the realm of grappling. So I don't think that Charles Oliveira is just going to rock Ilia and then easily submit him. Now, that can very well be a path to victory for Charles Oliveira, but don't act like Charles Oliveira is just leagues above Ilia Topuria when it comes to the realm of grappling. Because Ilia Topuria, he came up in the UFC as a grappler. Ilia Topuria, he hasn't really been getting knockouts until later on in his career. I believe that before he went to the UFC, he only had 1 knockout, and in the UFC he has 5 knockouts. So a lot of people, they've thought of Ilia Topuria in the UFC as this KO artist, but in reality, Ilia Topuria, he is one of the most well-rounded fighters in the UFC right now. So a lot of people are sleeping on Ilia Topuria's grappling game, but a lot of people are sleeping on the frame advantage of Charles Oliveira as well. I do think that Charles, his frame, that's going to be the biggest thing going for him. He has a reach advantage. He has the height advantage, the frame advantage, and I think that can be a really good thing to use in the grappling. I do think that Charles Oliveira, he definitely could knock him out as well. Charles, he has some power in his hands as well. He doesn't have the technique that comes with throwing the shots, but Charles Oliveira, he can very well rock Ilia Topuria and submit him. This is a very close matchup when you break down each fighter's skill set. But when it comes to who's gonna put it together perfectly, you have to go with Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, like I said, his fundamentals are perfect. His boxing, crisp. The only thing that Charles Oliveira can take advantage of is going to be the defense in some moments. Some moments, Ilia Topuria, he does keep his hands down, and Charles Oliveira, he can definitely capitalize on that. But the biggest difference between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira that favors Ilia Topuria to the point where I'm picking him is going to be the chin. Charles Oliveira in his prime, he was like getting dropped in like all of his fights. And when you're fighting Ilia Topuria, I think that Ilia Topuria, he has the technique and the power to just flatline Charles Oliveira like that, like with a snap of a finger. So when you look at the skill sets that each fighter brings to the table, it's a very close matchup. But when you like separate the durability, Ilia Topuria is definitely the more durable fighter. He can take more shots. He has a better chin. And that's why I am picking Ilia Topuria to win by a knockout. Like I said, I'm rooting for Charles Oliveira, but logically, I think you have to go with Ilia Topuria to win this fight. So thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys want to support this channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.